Thank you very much.
Dr. Ishak?
Yes.
What are your thoughts? Oh, you're not there yet?
No, I'm not a doctor in the medical sense, but I'm a nurse prescriber.
Yeah.
Nurse prescriber is a step down from just being a doctor.
Right.
But we all do anatomy and physiology and pharmacology and other subjects. So I'm a nurse prescriber not in Ghana, but in the UK.
Okay.
And at least I've worked in the health sector more than 18 years.
Okay.
So I'm very familiar with the hospital
Right.
environment. Having said that, I think the main reason we are discussing this is because the vice president have taken ill.
Right.
So first of all, we cannot introduce politics into this, even though politics have already been briefed in. First of all, she's not just the vice president of the NDC, she's the vice president of Ghana. And she's also a human being. So it is right for her to express our sympathies and wish her a speedy recovery. And then so that she can return to Ghana and join the president, and they'll be able to deliver the social contract they signed with Ghanaians. Having said that, I would like to disagree with my colleague when he said there is no duty to disclose. Even within the hospital sector, we have something we call duty of conduct. So duty of conduct simply means that there are certain information, if they need to be disclosed, they ought to be disclosed. We are not saying that doctors should disclose confidential information they know about the patient. But what we are saying is that as a public official, you are in a special relationship with the people of Ghana. And we need to know your progress. For example, as he said there is no law requiring it, but I just quoted a principle, duty of conduct. But look at the Constitution. When can we remove a vice president or a president? Among them is if stated misbehavior, incompetence, or incapacity. If Ghanaians do not know whether you are fit to continue the job, how do we invoke that aspect? I'm not saying this is what we are praying to invoke, but I'm just trying to explain to you why there are instances we ought to know the health status of the president. While we wish you very well, but the Ghana PLC will also need to move on. So if we have a vice president who is more or less giving supporting role to the president to govern us effectively, and if at some point she is sick, and we cannot assess how sick she is, not that we are wishing the person to die or we are wishing them bad things, but we just want to assess to see that do we need to get somebody to help for the meantime? It's for this reason why when you go to the Western world, especially you mentioned Britain, as soon as Prince Charles was diagnosed with cancer, he immediately informed them. The Pope is doing it. And when you do that as a public figure, for example, you demystify sicknesses and make it normal. So that when people are sick in a particular way, we don't attach stigma to them. These are some of the reasons why we ought to know. So for example, these days, if you are HIV positive, it is no longer a death sentence. You can take medication that will keep you normal. If, God forbid, a leader is diagnosed with something like this, and we can demystify it by saying that even the president have this sickness, we know about it. This kind of stigma, we can try to do away with them. So I believe that the public have, and I'm not just blaming the NDC aspect, even though they are usually hypocrites. You can see he quickly ran to the former vice president when we are dealing with a live issue. So what we are saying there, so even as I said, they need, no, I don't mean you, I mean the NDC as an umbrella. Well,
I just cited an example to say something.
Sorry, I'm stopping you. So. Confine the examples to our current issue. But what I'm saying is that I'm not just accusing the NDC of keeping quiet. Previous government, including our government, we've not disclosed this information. And I believe, as we said, at some point, not in the future, we need to start disclosing them. Because it's very important. You might say I'm introducing politics into it. We have a former president who was suffering with cancer. Because the public didn't know. They even forced him to jog from the airport to whatever distance. Is it that this kind of exercise could exacerbate the problem? So the public ought to know so that you don't hide things behind. Now there are speculations everywhere where we shouldn't be speculating. Some say, now I'm just hearing for the first time he's in the UK. Others say he's in the United States. They've even attached the Mayo Hospital to them. 3 days ago, I heard she's in California.
Ignore all that. It's fake news. She's in the UK.
Yeah, but why can't we get information from the official sources? That is a problem we are having. But if we can disclose it, that is better. The public ought to, perhaps on each day, we could even offer a better prayer. Members of the public, I believe in the biomedical model. I also believe that health has an element of spirituality to it. Do you understand that? Because at least it inspires you and gives you some level of confidence and promote recovery. So people ought to be praying for her. And if you don't know the exact situation, how do you formulate your prayer? So I believe we ought to know. Now, whether you can ban people from seeking medical attention abroad, I can see, I read briefly what Ablako said. And he said it with a political motive. Now, the hens are now home to roost. Let me be very clear. Yes, when you go to our hospitals, I've been to so many hospitals in the UK. St. Thomas, which is one of the premier, St. George's, Chelsea and Westminster Hospital, Middlesex, and all those things. If you see those hospitals and you see our premier hospital like Kolebu, it's a national embarrassment. I mean, if you see the environment, it should be nice that you even see hospital environment that promote recovery. Our hospital environment doesn't promote recovery. It is actually the Legon Hospital. What's the name of it? Yeah, the Legon Medical
University of Ghana Medical Center.
University of Ghana Medical Center. That the environment is actually better. How can our premier hospital, it doesn't even promote recovery? The first time I visited there, I saw patients lying on the floor. And we also have reports that patients have to even bribe to get beds over there. I mean, if you are faced with that situation and you are faced with the life of the vice president and the threat, of course you want to go abroad. And as I was saying, it might even be unlawful to prevent them. For example, the International Covenant for Economic and Social Rights grant everybody the right to health. And wherever you can get it, you can go for it. And even the advanced country, I actually disagree with you. In the UK, people even leave the UK and go to Hungary for treatment. There was this guy who has to, hospital said they were hopeless in the UK. And then this father was very determined to get the daughter well. And they said they was hopeless. They went to court and then said that doctors could withdraw treatment. And it was more or less a hopeless situation. But there was a pioneer treatment in Hungary. He has to smuggle this child to Spain and attempt to disguise themselves to go to Hungary. And then the hospital get an injunction. There was a public outcry. This guy managed to take the child to Hungary, which is more or less a developing country as compared to UK. The child became better. Do you understand that? Maybe what we need to say is that we will not finance treatment of public officials.
That's what I mean. That is what I mean.
Not
the Germany one is the public persons are meant, not private.
But if you can finance yourself,
at Germany, I was inside talking about public persons or officers going from one state to the other. It's not in private individuals. No.
So even in the UK, for example, you cannot leave one borough and seek treatment with another borough unless the local authority approves it, or unless you want to fund it privately. But if you want to be funded from the NHS, the hospital within your territory or whichever way catchment area will need to approve it that we need to free beds or the waiting list is too long, and therefore you can go there before the local authority will finance it.
I see.
So there's no way in the world that they ban anybody from seeking treatment abroad.
Okay.
But it's just that we might not finance it, and if you can finance it, you can go. So, but then I don't believe we should go through the US model. We can survive. The US is just too expensive for you to explore healthcare.
Okay.
There are a lot of people in the United States who are uninsured. They can't even get treatment.
Okay.
So, yes. So I don't agree about the banding aspect.
All right.
But I believe we can constrain giving resources to people to seek treatment abroad.
Okay.
So we wish the Vice President well.
Right.
And we hope that she would recover very fast and return to Ghana.
Right.